Oh, thank you so much. Everybody gets a shot of light. Oh, I'm having my fun here. You might be asking the question, why is Brother Ken not doing a premiere with this so that we can chat? Well, because I want you to focus and concentrate on what I'm doing here in this video. It's not going to be a long video. I don't suppose it's going to be very long at all. But I want to share some important information regarding Yahweh's calendar. I want to show you logical and historical, etymological, and scriptural proof of Yahweh's calendar. And the the more that I do, the more that He teaches me from day to day, encourages me to continue doing what I'm doing because Abba Father is pleased with this. And it's time for us to come into a new understanding and a new light. And that's what I'm trying to share with you. And for some of you, you may not be able to understand this, and that's okay. If Yahweh gives you an understanding of it, great. And if He doesn't, just as well. But I want to give you the opportunity to understand this and understand it in a way that is significant and is something that will actually minister to your heart and to your needs in this day and age in which we live. And for some of you, it is important to know the exact times of Shabbat, the weekly Shabbat, and the exact times of the Moedim. And we can only find those exact times if we are following Yahweh's calendar with all of our hearts and all of our mind and all of our soul, all of our strength. We have to be able to follow Him in such a way that we can receive understanding from Him. Now, I want to share my screen with you, and I'm going to share a video that I'll use to show you some of the historical and logical and natural and scriptural proofs of things that I have covered in regards to Yahweh's calendar. But the first pictures that I will show you are the pictures that I tried to share with you the other night. It was last Tuesday night, but I could not share. So I'm going to share those now so that we don't have to share them again in the live stream this coming Tuesday, Abba willing. So let's share the screen. Okay. And I moved me way over to the bottom, but it won't matter in this. There we have Dave. And Dave, of course, is standing in the corner. And he came out to the shop a few days back. And I said, Dave, go stand in the corner. This is for Moki Girl. Anyway, Dave's standing in the corner. And that is the inside of our paint building. That's where we paint the cars that we work on. And it looks like it's dirty, but we clean it up before we paint every vehicle that we paint in there. So it's not a problem. Okay, this is before we started building our building, and you can see all the little pieces. Of course, this is not all of them. There are pieces scattered all the way around the property. These guys that sold us the building sent a crew, and the crew was supposed to install the building. But the crew stated that they could not install the building because there was a building already there erected that this building was supposed to go right over the top of. And they would not install it. So they unloaded it and left it for us to install ourselves. So we have to go from being doing body work on cars and painting cars to erecting a building that we've never done before. So anyway, you see all of that there. And then we'll go on to the next picture. There's more of the pieces that were just laying around. And of course, back in the back here, this is our paint booth that Dave was standing in earlier, in which we paint cars. And the building is going all the way around it and over it. So the building is going to be standing, this building is going to be standing inside the other large shop building. Okay, and we'll go on to the next picture. This is where the old building, this building back here, we moved it back here, and from this area, and it covered an area here. You can see to where it covered, and so it did not reach the house. This building was just set up, erected in the middle here. Behind us is the paint mixing room where all of our paints are and are on the shelves, and our mixer is. So that's the picture of the paint booth and the mixing room, paint mixing room, and then the old building that was here before. Now you'll see, well, the building is already erected. We were fast, weren't we? But you'll see a picture of my son. His wife bought him a cowboy hat, and he put it on first time, and he walks outside, and this rooster that is not our rooster, we don't know where he came from, but this rooster greets at him and starts following him around like a puppy dog. I've never seen a rooster do quite like that, but it was something significant to us, and so I took a picture of him holding the rooster wearing his cowboy hat. So we found that to be quite funny. Adam's mother still has the rooster. And then, of course, this is Dave. He wasn't intentionally covering his face, but I just caught him in the picture like that. And then Adam is building a new workbench. It's just starting to build a new workbench that we're going to be using inside the shop. We need a good workbench that we can depend on and pull on and whatnot. And this is just an overall picture of the shop. And you can see Dave is sitting there, and he's saying he's in his guard station. And I said, okay, whatever. And you see a frame here and this that doesn't have a vehicle on it. Actually, it does have a vehicle, but it's just sprayed with invisible paint so you can't see it. No, seriously, this is a restoration that we're going to be doing, and that's quite a job. But this is just a frame from one vehicle that's in good shape, pretty good shape, and is going to go on another vehicle that's out in our yard. Okay, the next picture is getting into the study that I'm going to be doing here with you. I'm talking about how the moon reflects Yeshua. And isn't it astounding how the moon can represent Yeshua in some ways? In the book of Yochanan, that's John chapter 17, verse 24, Yeshua says, Father, I want those you have given me to be with me where I am, and to see my esteem, the esteem you have given me because you loved me before the creation of the world. So he came from mighty esteem. He came to the earth and was in darkness, complete darkness, because he was in the grave for 3 days. And then he returned to his full esteem. Now that's like the moon. It starts out new and beautiful. It gets broken down and disappears usually for 3 days. Then begins to be lifted up and reaches full esteem by the end. That is a picture of 1 month. It starts out with esteem. It goes to complete darkness for about 3 days. And then it slowly builds and it reaches full esteem once again at the end of the month and the beginning of a new month. Okay, let's go to the next slide. And we know the moon only shines the light it gets from the sun. It has no light of its own. But what a perfect image that is of this verse, where Yeshua says in the book of Yochanan again, chapter 12, verse 49, "For I did not speak on my own, but the Father who sent me commanded me to say all that I have spoken." Well, the sun commands the moon, and all the light it shines, as per the book of Chanok. The moon's light shines the light of the sun into the darkness. A perfect example of Yeshua. And indeed, at Passover, in the middle of the month, the moon has disappeared because it was at this stage of the cycle. And there was an eclipse the day of Yeshua's death, which brought about full darkness over the face of the earth. Now, we don't know if that darkness was just limited to Jerusalem, or if it was over more of the earth, which an eclipse would not account for darkness being all over the face of the earth, but it would have to be something like an eclipse that was prolonged for 3 hours. And normally a full eclipse of the sun only lasts about eight minutes or so. But as Yahweh stopped the sun at the command of Yehoshua, that's Joshua, he stopped the sun for the space of about 1 day. He could do that at any time, any given time, especially important time, like when his son, his very being, died on a cross for the sins of all mankind. Okay, in Luke chapter 23, that's Lucas chapter 23, verse 44 to 45 says, "It was now about noon, and the darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon, for the sun stopped shining, and the curtain, the veil of the temple, was torn in two." We can see at the beginning of months and at the end of months is light from the Father of lights, and so is time. From the light in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Hawa, they were in light, full light, and walked and talked with the Father every day. And then they sinned. They went into full darkness. And then after their sin, Yahweh made a way for them to be able to return into his full light through his Son, Yeshua. So Yahweh uses the same similar examples of the moon, going from full moon to new moon in 1 day, and then going from new moon to conjunctive moon, in other words, the black moon, in about half a month. And in the black moon is where we can possibly have a solar eclipse. Cannot be any other time. It has to be during the time of a conjunctive moon. And then at the end of the moon cycle, we're brought to light again. So isn't that all so obvious? Now, let's look at some historical aspects of this. And I want to thank Michael Shabbat for allowing me to use these clips that come from his site. And it was just really easy for me to use this that he has already done than to have to do it myself. I could do it myself and not give credit to anybody, but I'm so thankful to Michael Shabbat for this. Okay, this is Josephus. It's not Josephus. There was no J in the Hebrew language, and he was half Roman and half Hebrew from what I understand. So Josephus and the sun in Aries is the title of this. In the month of Xanthicus, which is by us, the Hebrews, called Nisan, which is the name they got in Babylonia. Nisan is one of their gods that they worship, and is the beginning of our year, the Hebrews' year, on the 14th day of the lunar month, when the sun is in Aries. Okay, I'm going to pause this section for just a moment and I'm going to go to Stellarium. And I want to show you what he's talking about. This is the beginning of the month, and I am using a new time. This will be the month of Aviv. In other words, the first month of Yahweh's calendar for the year. And the start of Aviv is what Josephus was talking about. You can see the moon is full. It's at 99.9%. It's a waning gibbous, but it was full earlier in the night. So, and the next morning, the moon greets the sun. The moon is in the feet of Bethulah, saying, the year has passed, and this is it. And this is the new month. And the sun is in no less than Aries. Isn't that amazing? Okay, let's go back to our scriptures. Okay. Okay, so he says the moon, the 14th day of the lunar month, when the sun is in Aries, and it stays in Aries all this month. For in this month it was that we were delivered from bondage under the Egyptians. The law ordained that we should every year slay that sacrifice which I before told you we slew when we came out of Egypt, that's Mitzrayim, and which was called the Passover, or Pesach, and so do celebrate this Passover in companies, leaving nothing of what we sacrificed till day following. The Feast of Unleavened Bread succeeds that of the Passover, and falls on the 15th day of the month, and continues 7 days, wherein they feed on unleavened bread. This is from the book Antiquity of the Jews, written by Flavius Josephus, book 3, chapter 10, number 5. Okay, let's go to the next slide. The historian Eusebius of Caesarea, in his chronicle, cited a statement of the 2nd century chronicler Phlegon of Tralles. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that properly, but just pretend that I am, if I might. That during the 4th year of the 202nd Olympiad, that was around AD 32 to 33, a great eclipse of the sun occurred at the 6th hour that exceeded every other before it, turning the day into such darkness of night that the stars could be seen in the heaven, and the earth moved in Bithynia, toppling many buildings in the city of Nicaea. Okay, that's showing us that it is possible that there was a great eclipse during the death of Yeshua, which would have been the 15th of the month of Aviv, wherein the moon would be a conjunctive moon, a dark moon, and would be in the same horizon as the sun, giving opportunity for an eclipse. And whether Yahweh just held it there for an extended time or not, we don't know. There's a lot of things that we don't know. But we're trying certainly to learn and to seek out Yahweh's truth with all of our hearts. Let's go to the next slide. Dionysius the Areopagite, in a letter written under his name, Dionysius the Areopagite, the author claims to have observed a solar eclipse from Heliopolis, Egypt, at the time of the death of the Messiah, Yeshua. So that is more evidence that somebody else from a different area, a different part of the world, saw the solar eclipse. In Amos chapter 8, some people might say, well, I don't see whether this is a prophecy of the eclipse on the day of Yeshua's death, but I see it as my perspective is always my glass is half full instead of my glass is half empty. So I look at it from a positive perspective. And we read in chapter 8 of Amos, verse 9, And it shall be in that day, declares the Master Yahweh, that I shall cause the sun to go down at noon, and shall darken the earth on a day of brightness, and shall turn your festivals into mourning, and all your songs into lamentation, and bring sackcloth on all loins, and baldness on every head, and shall make it like mourning for an only son, and its end like a day of bitterness. So, let me get out of this and get back to the Zoom screen. Okay, now we're back. And I hope and pray that this opened up some more light for you to understand Yahweh's calendar and why I'm presenting this, because the Ruach HaKodesh is laying it heavily upon my heart. And I was reluctant to do anything about this at all from the beginning. And I have suffered some backlash from this from time to time. This one or that one I lost a few subscribers, and I don't know if it was for this or if it was the video that I did, which I had titled "Is Jesus God?" And of course, I'm using the names that I learned from my childhood. But God is not a name, it's a title. And it's not even a good title, but I'm using the name Jesus because most of the world knows him by that name. So I wanted to attract some attention from other parts of the world other than just our fellowship here. But anyway, all that I've done here has not been of my own desire. I try my best to follow the Ruach HaKodesh, to follow Yahweh, and do what brings esteem to him. It's not making me popular or famous, because anyone that has any controversy with this is going to, well, avoid me or avoid this this site, Yahweh's channel, his channel with Ken. I'm the sidekick. But I hope and pray that this has helped you. And of course, I'm thankful to all of the others, including Patty Dobbs and Michael Shabbat, Sharon and Bruce Howarth, and Ian and what is Ian's wife's name? I'm sorry, I forgot. I apologize to you. I'm talking to the wife of Ian, but they're people that Patty has fellowshipped with over in his country. And as well, Patty, I want to give a special thanks to you and a big hug. You know what this means? Yeah. Big hug to you. I may not ever get to see you, my friend, Kai. I may not ever get to see you on this earth. Well, let me rephrase that. I may not ever get to see you in this life, but in the life to come, on this earth, I am positive I will see you. Well, shalom to each and every one of you, and may Yahweh's light shine upon each and every one of you and give you understanding, his understanding, and his true way.
I sing to Yahweh, for he is highly exalted. The horse and its rider he has thrown into the sea. Yah is my strength and song, and he has become my deliverance. He is my El, and I praise him, Elohim of my father, and I exalt him. Yahweh is a man of battle. Yahweh is his name. He has cast Pharaoh's chariots and his army into the sea. And his chosen officers are drowned in the sea of reeds. The depths covered them. They went down to the bottom like a stone. Your right hand, O Yahuwah, has become great in power. Your right hand, O Yahuwah, has crushed the enemy. And in the greatness of your excellence, you pulled down those who rose up against you. You sent forth your wrath. It consumed them like stubble. And with the wind of your nostrils, the waters were heaped up. The floods stood like a wall. The depths became stiff in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, I pursue, I overtake, I divide the spoil. My being is satisfied on them. I draw out my sword, my hand destroys them. You blew with your wind, the sea covered them. They sank like lead in the mighty waters. Who is like you, O Yahuwah, among the mighty ones? Who is like you, great in Kodeshah, awesome in praises, working wonders? You stretched out your right hand, the earth swallowed them. In your kindness, you led the people whom you have redeemed. In your strength, you guided them to your Kodesh dwelling. Peoples heard, they trembled. Anguish gripped the inhabitants of Pelasheth. Then the chiefs of Edom were troubled, the mighty men of Moab. Trembling grips them, all the inhabitants of Canaan melted. Fear and dread fell on them by the greatness of your arm. They are as silent as a stone. Until your people pass over, O Yahuwah. Until the people whom you have bought pass over. You bring them in and plant them in the mountain of your inheritance, in the place, O Yahuwah, which you have made for your own dwelling, the Mikdash, O Yahuwah, which your hands have prepared. Yahweh reigns forever and ever